CP24, Toronto's breaking news.
Welcome back to CP24 Live at Noon. We are changing from the royalty to politics. I'm joined now by AmandaA Apr28. She's a communications expert. She's managing director of Narrative Advocacy Media. I said it right, Narrative Advocacy Media. What a mouthful. Let's just talk about the leaders, and let's start off with Mr. Ignatieff, because he was quoted yesterday as saying that the Tories are not very nice people. We saw him last week. He was hammering a table. How is he doing? Aside from the polls, because I know he's not doing well in the polls, but what about his efforts to get people to like him?
You know, it's interesting watching Ignatieff. I think he's really sort of outshone where critics thought he would be. His performance has been pretty passionate along the way. Remember, is the only non-veteran politician in this campaign.
But he's a veteran broadcaster and presenter, though.
For sure. So he's drawn good crowds at rallies. I think in the last few days of the campaign, he is going a little more gritty. Probably needs to, in order to get the attention he requires to make voters take a second thought before they head to the polls on May 2nd.
So that's it. It's gritty works, or he hopes that gritty works for the grits.
He hopes that gritty's working for the grits.
Now let's just look at the fellow who's coming up very fast on the inside. That's Jack Layton. The poll are saying that he's the guy that most people would like to have a coffee with or a beer with. And I'm talking to people on the street, and they're saying, you know what, we don't like his politics, but we like him.
Right.
So we're going to give us a vote. What's going on?
I think coming out of the debate, particularly the French language debate, there were two things. It was likability and relatability. People felt like they could sit across a dinner table from him. They could have a discussion about politics and policy. But now he has to deal with something that he hadn't dealt with before, and that's the scrutiny of policy heading into the last few days of the election. He'll have to be answering some tough questions, and it won't just be about likability and relatability. It'll be about, can this man govern this country?
So does he have to, if you were advising him, would you say that he has to change somehow in these last few days when a lot of people are going to be making decisions? Yeah,
I think absolutely he has to go out with some strong policy announcements. He has to find a way to defend all of the promises he's made in the wake of a lot of criticism that it's big spending with fantasy money, as the other parties are calling it. So
one party called it fairy dust. He's
fairy dust
all
fantasy,
over.
exactly. So he has a big challenge ahead of him, from being just the likable guy that you want to sit across the table from to being the guy who can actually run the country.
And do you think he's going to try to be more prime ministerial? Would he be more serious, you think, too?
You know, I think if the party is doing what they need to be doing, they have to be putting him in front of large crowds, looking really prime ministerial. He has to probably adopt more of the tight-lipped style of Stephen Harper.
Well, let's go to Stephen Harper and tight-lipped. He's been criticized for that, but I mean, he's still very high in the polls. They haven't gone beyond what they were, but I mean, they're maintaining the lead.
Listen, Harper from day one has said majority or bust. This is a man who put every stake in the ground. Now he's heading into the last few days of the election. He's watching this majority slip away. So while the status quo, this tight-lipped campaign style, may have worked for him in the beginning, and he's been a bit of a Teflon man, very little has stuck to him in the way of scandal.
That's true.
He has to make a change heading into those last few days to connect with people who feel that he's completely unconnectable.
And briefly, 10 seconds, what kind of change would that be? Just sort of more personal?
You know, I think he has to be seen to be with people, to be open, to be accessible, things that he has failed to do over the course of the last 4 weeks. So
he's going to be wearing a sweater and playing the piano. Amanda, I'm out of time. I could go on for hours. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
We'll see what happens on Monday. It is 12:55, 11 degrees, and this is Toronto's breaking news. CP24. Well, gusty winds are blowing throughout the city. When we come back, details on how powerful that wind is, how long it's expected to last. It's a big one. Stay with us.